Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show of the Codex podcast. As usual, I am your host, Sonny Kruger. I'm joined by my co-host, Dan Kelly.
What's going on?
We've got a lot today. Me and Dan, we will be reviewing the most modern comic we've reviewed on the show, and that is One World Under Doom, issue number 1.
Oh, which cover is that you have?
That is a variant by Crane.
Is that the B cover? Was it the dinosaur or the Tyrannosaurus?
Yeah, the Tyrannosaurus one. Yeah,
Nice.
I think which exact number that is, but yes, that's one I got. And of course, it's gonna be busy for the F list today because we've got a whole team joining, and that's Omega Flight. But before that, of course, we've got Right or Wrong, and I'll be the man with the 5 statements today. We got Random Panel of the Week. Somebody's drawing on some artwork. Variant Insanity as usual. And of course, some comic book news. But Dan, you and I, we've been busy. So I'll start us off with some of our works. For me, I've been working on my show, Series About a Series. I have 1 day left of filming.
Ooh.
So I hope that all goes well. And by next week, I could say, like, dude, I'm done. Filming's complete. And then also I'm writing a book called Eldo's Awkward World. And I've got 1 chapter left. So
Nice.
it's that time of year when I'm finishing things, getting close to the end. And then, of course, for the Code X station on June 9th, the Code X podcast will hit 4 years.
Nice. Are you gonna have a rap party for the end of your filming? Because it's not just the end of the filming for the new episode; it's the end of the filming for the whole series.
That's and for the whole series, no rap party scheduled. Even in time, a lot has changed. I don't know exactly. I hope that Friday is the last day, but sometimes things change, and so it's it could be pushed back another day, and some people have moved, and so. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any rap parties, but everybody who's a part of the show, anybody can just feel free to have parties themselves and celebrate. Me, it's not the end of working for me. I got a lot of editing to do still.
Yeah, then it's moving on to the DVD release and the world premiere screening at the local AMC.
Hey, if they want to play it, if anybody has a projector or anything like that, YouTube. You got it.
What's up, Sal?
Hey, Sal.
That's the G cover.
Okay, so that's the G cover. Sal, hope you're doing good. Hope all is well. We missed you, buddy. And
goddamn, look at that big ass dinosaur.
Yeah. A Doomosaurus Rex. Dan, you're always up to stuff. People want to know what Dan's up to. You can check him out at Dan Kelly Art on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm actually either, I guess, tonight or tomorrow. I got to film an unboxing because I just got back all these sketch covers from CGC.
Hey, Richard.
So, yeah, it's 8 sketch covers that I sent to CGC to get graded. So I got to do the unboxing video for them. And then, yeah.
Richard is right. Buy Dan Kelly Art.
Yes. Buy lots of it. And then what else? Oh, I did the interview with Todd, super famous superstar comic artist Todd Nauck. I did that interview yesterday, which will be up probably in about a week or so when Jamie does his editing on it, to add the graphics and stuff to the beginning. Super nice guy. Had a lot of fun talking with him. He's one of my favorite artists, so I was really thrilled to be able to sit there and talk about his career with him and what he's got coming up and everything, and just such a nice guy.
Awesome. So I love to hear when someone that you're a fan of, you meet them, or to us, even if it's virtually, and they turn out to be cool. Okay, good. I'm glad I still like their stuff.
Yeah, because there's others when you.
Hey, Mr. Keith.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Keith? Yeah, there's others when if you meet them and they're kind of dicks, and it's like, man, well. It does put a little bit of a damper on it when you go back and look at their stuff later.
Yeah. And Richard, in the comments, the other day, or I'm not too sure if it was last week or not, Richard, you had said Team Sunny, and I was thinking back to the old videos of Code X when me and Jamie were seeing Team Sunny, Team Jamie. But Richard, I saw you had commented on one of my videos. You could watch my videos, either Kruger Sunny on Instagram or from the writer on TikTok, and it was the one where Richard Rent was on the video where it's men versus the gorilla, and there he had said hashtag Team Sunny. So Richard's on my team. But Sunny never met me. I don't get out. A lot of times, Richard, when I go to those lines, I just look from a distance and I say, okay, there's so and so. I'm not going to stand in line and meet them.
Sonny's not leaving Chicago. He ain't going anywhere unless he's riding the rails.
You know, I've left and I always end up back in Chicago. That's where I am. Which does it both. It was for both. I
Like
appreciate it.
The song says, "Sweet Home Chicago."
Yeah. Yeah, that's well, yeah, here I am. Always still in Chicago. Thank you, Richard, for the hashtag Team Sunny. But yeah, so like I said, I was doing videos. Well, I took a little break for like a week, but I'll get back to doing all my videos online. So always doing that. And then always making sure they got to put the comic books ahead too. Like, hey, can't just stop reading. I always like reviewing stuff we got here on the show. So I know soon me and Sal will be reviewing The King in Black. With me, Uncle Gary, and Mike. Somewhere in the future, we will get to the Pro. We know definitely one day we're going to get to that one.
I was going to ask if you guys have done that one yet. Have you read it yet?
So I have. I read it a while ago, but I knew it needs to be a special one for that one.
That's that book's a wild ride.
Yeah. It truly is a wild, fun, crazy ride. So it needs to be a crazy episode. Even I have a few F-listers, even for that. There has to be an uncensored episode. So I got a few things ready for that. A few random panels. Like normally I wouldn't show them, but that one, which does you like The King in Black? Good. I hope I do too, because I'll be spending some time reading it and then going over it and then reviewing it.
Well, you have to remember too that with King in Black, that Donny Cates had been setting the whole storyline up for a couple years with his Venom run. So there's like a whole lot that happens before the series starts. It wasn't like Secret Wars where the first issue was like, hey, all of a sudden here this thing is happening.
Yeah, and then to even Absolute Carnage, which I loved, and a while ago, a couple years ago, Jamie picked that and we reviewed it, and that kind of led up to it. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot to look forward to with Codex Station on the Codex, the Codex Podcast, Codex Station. So speaking of which, on the Codex Station, always there's every Thursday episodes of Comic Character of the Week. Dan, would you like to tell everyone who's tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow's episode is on Billy Butcher from The Boys. So yeah, you were talking about the Pro being a wild episode. It's going to be a wild one tomorrow night. And Jamie's not doing the episode tomorrow night, but Mike is jumping on. So it's going to be me, Sal, Mike, and Gary. So that ought to be a pretty fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be, yeah, you're right about that. That's one thing I didn't like about King in Black and it's not
minimizing everything.
It's not that the story is bad. It's just the whole thing, and I think we've talked about it before with comics and Marvel and DC and all these companies are like, oh, this one thing is cool, so let's do 100 other things just like it. Oh, Venom is cool and Carnage is cool, so let's make 1,000 more symbiotes. Oh, Superman's cool. Let's make a bunch of other Superman, or let's make a ton of different, Batman sidekicks, and let's have 18 Flashes, and it's like all you're doing is diluting the brand.
Yeah, but we still, I know one person, a part of Codex, who really does want to see a Venomized Howard the Duck.
Oh yes,
and his name is Sal.
Well, I told him, remember when I told him I was going to do a Howard the Duck. I was going to draw Howard the Duck as a Green Lantern. And I was like, that way I'm going to ruin Green Lanterns for you.
Nice. So, yeah, got to do that one. And
then the other one was and then the other one, the guy, John, in our comic shop, when I was talking about, this Venom sketch cover and what I should do on it. And he said it should be Jar Jar Binks with the Venom suit. He's like, Misa going to eat your brains.
Oh, that'd be good.
I was like, don't do that. I'm like, oh, I think I might have to now.
I think so too. I agree. Chad, what do you think? Do you want to see Dan make a Venomized Jar Jar Binks? Yeah, so a lot of fun stuff ahead. Dan, always looking forward to your artwork. I always enjoy seeing it and what you got out there.
All right, I just finished the pencils on a Colossus drawing today. I'm going to try and stop at the FedEx Kinko's tomorrow and scan it so I could post it. Then I got to do the inks on the Two-Face drawing, the Phantom drawing, and then that I got some sketch covers that I actually just did that I gave to Chris and Rob that I did as gifts for them at LotCon that Comic Logic had the other day.
Nice.
Because
Richard says if Venom wanted to bond with him, he said, but I rejected it because he's been around too much for my taste.
oh, he's like the town
That's what he has
bicycle.
been.
Everyone's had a ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got those sketch covers, which I've had done for a while, but I didn't post them because it was, I done it as like a gift for these guys, so it was supposed to be a surprise. So I actually have a lot of stuff ready to post. And then, when I do the unboxing video for all the sketch covers I got back from CGC, I'll post that as well.
Nice. There we go. And speaking of Colossus, you had a certain interview. You were part of another podcast.
Oh yeah, on Colossus Collector. He had me on and a couple other guys that were that are all big fans of Colossus. And yeah, so actually you can check it right here on YouTube and Instagram, Colossus Collector. And we just spent about an hour and a half just going over stuff that we liked with, why we like Colossus. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he's a cool guy. Remember we had him on our Codex Awards.
Yeah, he's been on Codex a few times.
Yeah.
He's been on Character of the Week with us twice, and I believe he's been on After Dark / Comics Unleashed. I'm pretty sure he's been on that before with us too. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and all the guys showing off their Colossus stuff, and me completely unprepared, hadn't pulled anything out. So I was like, "What do I have when the arms reach that I can get?" It was like one guy showed off literally, I think it was 30 different sketch covers he had different artists do of Colossus for him.
Wow.
And I felt bad, like all of them are showing off their giant size X-Men 1, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have that one.
I've got that one, but in a Masterworks.
Oh.
Masterworks, yeah.
I'd imagine the symbiote would feel like they're chewing on a fork.
Yeah. Colossus is an X-Man itself, yeah.
Colossus, like Beast, was also a Defender for a very short time. A very weird Defenders team that he was on, but still.
I forget Colossus or something. Who was he on there again? Because I remember when Beast was. I can't remember Colossus.
It was... I'll have to look it up real quick. The ones I remember were Colossus and Atlas. And I was like, why are they both on there? Like, why do you have two... why do you have two super strong characters on there?
The Defenders have always been like the most random team put together, always.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, let me scroll through and. Oh yeah, this was the last Defenders. I was like, this was definitely a weird lineup. It was Colossus, Atlas, Nighthawk, Paladin, Ghost Rider, She-Hulk. Who else was on here? I'm looking at the covers now to see who was in there, and because I got them in the buried in a box somewhere on there, but yeah, and then this other character on the cover I don't even recognize, but yeah, you're like Colossus, She-Hulk, and Atlas. Like, all right, so they're all roughly the same power set, like.
Yeah, they're all fighting to who gets to lift the 1,000-pound rock. Yeah.
Yeah, who gets to deadlift the most?
Yeah. Well, speaking of comic books, it might not be the last Defenders, but you viewers could win 8 issues from the Age of Apocalypse, and you can also win the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. You can enter by May 31st. The winner will be announced, so you still got a little over a week. And the usual way, how you enter the contests here on the Codex Station. Make sure you're subscribed. Either you can send a screenshot, you can type in #giveaway, or for only $1 freaking, You can become a member on YouTube, and that enters you into all the contests, and you get to see some more videos from the Codex Station that aren't available for the public to see. So,
and we need to do more
good
of those
luck.
too. I kept trying to get people to, to want to do record some top 10 lists, and
Yeah, we haven't done this in a while. Yeah, you and I liked them. We had a good time doing it. We were doing the top 10 fan castings.
Yeah, it's like
fun.
trying to herd cats with you people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I won't argue there.
As one I'm psyched to do is I want to do top 10 Avengers, and I wanted to do it with Gary. Then he'll just put Beast as every number.
Beast. I know how to put Wonder Man. Richard, there you go. Just like that.
We're not doing it like that, Richard, but you're already in. And whenever we do any contest, Richard's name just gets put right at the top before it even starts.
We know to put you in.
Well, for next month's giveaway, we're gonna change it up and do it a little differently again to try and drive that getting some more of those subs.
Yes, make sure to be subscribed, everybody. And then it's been a fun pre-show, and I say it's time we jump on to the regular show of the Code X podcast.
Let's do it.
We had a fun time in the pre-show, but now it's time for the regular show of the Code X podcast. As I said earlier, today we will be reviewing One World Under Doom, issue number 1. We're having a lot of comic book news. There's been some trailers that have come out. Some of the comic books are about to come out too. But after that, we'll get to Virulent Insanity. We'll get to Right or Wrong, and I'll be the man with the 5 statements today. Of course, there's a random panel of the week. Since, Dan, you love to draw, I thought I'd pick out a random panel with somebody drawing over a piece of some artwork. And for the F list, we've got a full one today. We have a team joining, and that is the team of Omega Flight. So I will get us started with the comic book news, and that means time for the rundown. We saw some trailers.
Richard's already making his guess for the most covers.
He's already making his guess for the Virulent Insanity. I think that's a record. Richard, I could just say you've at least set a record. The quickest time to pick out what comic book you believe will be the most variants this week, and the number you said TMNT, 45 variants. But I got to start us off with the rundown. So, the trailers that came out, we saw Superman trailer. The big one was about 3 minutes long. Then we also saw there was an Ironheart trailer for the series. Superman set to come out July 11th. Ironheart the series is set to start coming out on June 24th. But we also got to see a first look at Galactus, and that is the live-action Galactus in Fantastic Four. And there we go. That's how an assembled look is Galactus. But before we get to talking about that, we also got his default pick every week. Not a bad one to have as your default pick. Spider-Man Brand New Day. The next Spider-Man live-action movie. There's been some updates on that. There's been some, before Sadie Sink, there's talk about, is she going to be Mayday Parker? Is she going to be MJ? But also more talk is that who's going to be the villain? Will it be the first time will there be a female villain? And then, of course, we got to talk about some actual comic books. And there's Justice League Red, number 1, which is set to come out in August 20th, that is. And this time it will have the Red Tornado as the leader of the team. So it's quite a bit coming out. Dan, what shall we talk about first? Shall we just talk about Superman?
Yeah, let's just start at the top and work our way down.
Yeah, man, Superman. I thought the trailer looked great. Well, first, Richard says that for Galactus, maybe we'll jump on our way to Galactus. This is the Galactus picture. What did it say? The Galactus picture looks like a LinkedIn profile pic.
Yeah. I'll say this about it. It looks a lot better than the cloud that was in the Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, that's.
You know,
I mean,
color,
looking at it, I'm just like, at least it's not Cloud Galactus.
it's got the blue, it's got the purple, it's got the ridiculous helmet design. The colors are kind of muted, but I think this, clearly this is also like um concept art,
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah,
So
concept art, work in progress. This isn't like a still from the actual movie.
yeah, so you will see if the colors are still still like that. I saw fans, some online complaining about they were like, what we got, and it was this, and what we wanted, and then they took it and like recolored or colored it where it's real, a lot brighter. And I'm like, you really complaining about this, like how comic accurate that look is, with as non-comic accurate as they made everything else in that movie, and this is what you're going to complain about, the most comic accurate looking thing.
Yeah, that's. I'm like, come on, it's way better than Cloud Galactus. So
Yeah, I think it looks
So Keith says it feels like Galactus is judging him. He's considering, he's judging our world to see if he wants to eat it or not.
I think that image looks badass, and the actor they cast for it, I think he's got that. If you see any of his movies, he's got that intensity to him. So I think
Yeah.
he'll. I don't know about the movie as a whole, but I think that guy will be good.
Yeah, I think he'll be good for Galactus. I'm excited about that. But yeah, so back to what we were saying about Superman. We saw that trailer. I really liked it. I like, that was pretty interesting to see Lois Lane questioning him, like, "Oh, but you were in this country, but whose side were you on?" He's like, "I just was help. I wanted to save people. People were dying." And I like seeing Metamorpho. I like seeing, even though it wasn't too much, just to see, even if it's a quick image, I like to see Metamorpho in live action was very cool.
You know what? I did not watch the trailer because I'm at the point like they've already revealed enough. I mean, hell, they had that one trailer was like, here's just like 3-minute clip from the movie where I saw him like, you know what? I already know I'm going to go see the movie. I don't need to see any more trailers, because it's just going to spoil scenes from the movie for me. That at this point, since I already know I'm going to see it, I want to save that for the actual movie. And I've done that. I've done that with other movies before. You see the first trailer and you're like, all right, yeah, that looks cool. And they'll start releasing more and more. And I'm just like, I don't want to see anymore. I'm going to the movies. I want to see as much of it there as I can.
Yeah. And in one part they did show, and of course, online was quick to catch it. So in the other teaser, which was like 2.5 minutes, someone throws a can or something at his head.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, he blinked, and someone caught it. That this time, when they show it hit his head, he doesn't blink. That they edited that, and someone caught that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I heard something that there was a I guess I don't know if it was in the trailer or something else where you saw Lex's like suit of his battle armor in it. So that's
unless it was that fast, because no part truly really showed on that. Unless if I have to watch it again, maybe if I pause at a certain point, but I didn't notice it.
Well, like I said, it might not have been in that. It might have been some still image or something that was released. I just remember seeing something somewhere about seeing his armor, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I don't need to see it at this point again. I already know I'm going to go to the movies to see it. I don't need to see anymore.
Yeah. I mean, a while ago, I'd say I knew, this is one I want to see. I don't want to wait for this one as I wait for many. So this one I want to see at the theater. But now, after this trailer, I'm very excited. And now I have really high hopes that when I leave the theater, I want to be so excited, like a kid again, when you feel like you could fly. So if I don't feel like that, I'll be a little disappointed. I want to be super hyped up when I finish seeing that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not convinced it's going to be, fantastic, because I still have my doubts about James Gunn doing a Superman movie. And I like James Gunn movies, but he does tend to have some really goofy stuff in there. So I'm still on the fence about, how it's going to be, but I've seen enough from the trailers I have seen to say like, okay, I'm going to go check it out.
Mr. Keith said, I heard the movie going to suddenly stop and reveal itself to be Zack Snyder's Man of Steel 2.
Oh my God. And I still see these Snyderverse guys online, the hashtag restore the Snyderverse and this. I'm like, dude, give it up. Like, what do I wonder if any of them still legitimately think that there's a chance that the Snyderverse gets restored. Like, there's got
Look at that.
uh
Richard with the hashtag bring back the Snyderverse.
yeah, and I'll respond to that with with what I respond to all of them when I see it on Twitter. Hashtag ain't gonna happen. But like, I wonder if because most of them probably at this point are just like trolling. But you figure there's a couple that probably still legitimately think, well, they could really do it. All they have to do is, I saw one guy like, we don't care what they do now. Like, just finish the story and do this. I'm like, you act like it's some, they act like it's some simple thing to like just let him finish the story. Like, yeah, just go ahead and give him $300 million or 200 million or whatever to go out and make this huge giant movie and yeah, get Cavill and Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and all of these big stars and get them all to come back too. And Ezra Miller, yeah, that's kind of problematic, but whatever, we'll get him to come back. And like, oh yeah, Ray Fisher and his his whole thing with Warner Brothers, he'll come back, right? Like, do these people actually think that there's a way that this could actually happen? Like,
I don't think they're thinking about that part. They just want to see it, and then they don't want to hear about that. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Zack Snyder
could just say he agrees that most are trolling.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if he really wanted to finish it, he could do it as a comic. I'm sure if he went to DC and was like, look, we're going to, I want to do a Snyderverse comic and just, and let him write it and get someone else, and get someone to do the art and or let him do the art. Apparently, I know he's storyboard stuff, so he's got to be decent. Like, I'm sure that they wouldn't turn down the easy money that it would be for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I agree, and they should do that because, like you said, it's not going to happen in a live action movie. It has passed. The time has passed. We are in a whole new era of DC movies.
The worst thing that WB could have done was when they capitulated to those people and they released the Snyder Cut, because WB, Warner Brothers was thinking like, oh, we'll do this, we'll put it on HBO Max, and and this will satisfy them and get them to shut up. Like, no, all you did was embolden them to feel like they could go for more.
Yeah. And then there's the Ironheart trailer. Did you get to see that?
I did. And I mean, whatever. I have Disney Plus, so I'll probably watch it because I already have Disney Plus, but there's nothing nothing about it that makes me like super excited to see it. Plus the fact that they finished filming it, what was it, like they finished making the whole thing 2 years ago and it's just been sitting on a shelf, that doesn't really inspire me with confidence that it's going to actually be any good.
Yeah, but the trailer was kind of like, man, I didn't really see too much. Like, oh, I'm not saying that it's bad or there's no chance, but I just wasn't too excited for it. And yeah, like you said, Ironheart finished filming years ago. I remember I'm in Chicago and I was hearing things. Oh, it's coming to film here. It's coming to film. And they were, even when they were doing availability checks for us, they weren't saying Ironheart. They were giving it like a completely different name. Like, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was like Wise Guys or some name that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then filming literally was only in Chicago for less than a month. So most of the show was actually filmed in other places, but not actually in Chicago. Just a few parts. But then I'm like, I kind of forgot about it actually over the years. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it was filmed. And then just, like you said, stayed on the shelf.
Yeah, it's just been sitting around like waiting to be released. And I understand they'll finish filming something. It's not like, all right, we're done. We just finished the special effects. Go release it now. Like, I understand there's weeks and months between that, but years doesn't generally signal that good things for it. And just seeing some stuff people have pointed out in the trailer, like, yeah, what mom and pop pizza shop do you know that has like an elevator to the secret basement? And I honestly, like, the character in the comics doesn't really do anything for me. I haven't read her in the comics outside of when she's in other books that I'm already reading. So,
Same.
it's not like it was going to move the needle for me that much. Black Panther 2, I loved the first one. The second one, I just thought was a mess. I didn't like it at all. So her being in that didn't move the needle for me at all. Like, like I said, I'll probably watch it, but the last few Disney Plus shows for Marvel, like the final season of What If was terrible. Secret Invasion was really bad. What else was there? Miss Marvel was the first couple episodes I got into, but then it just started for me getting really boring and dragging on. So Daredevil was great, but outside of that, these past few shows that they've done otherwise, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Let me try to get people a little bit excited for Ironheart and tell you some of the characters that are set to be in the show. Slug is going to be in there, and Slug is going to be played. Slug, the character who's that grotesque, huge, obese character that Captain America's fought, is going to be a bit different in this show because someone who's known for being a drag queen, Shay Collier, is set to play Slug. So they're going with a whole different thing for Slug. Also,
is she related to Dave Coulier?
No, this is spelled C-O-U.
Cut it out.
I know that, yep. But yeah, it's C-O-U-L-E-E with like a dash, yeah.
Oh, like that. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, but Shay, Shay, somebody who's been seen on RuPaul's Drag Race, will be playing Slug. In the trailer, you got to see the Hood. Anthony Ramos is playing the Hood, and then maybe this one will get people a little bit excited that it's saying that Mephisto will be in the show.
No, he's not. Shut up. He's not going to be.
Saying that he will be played by Sacha Baron Cohen.
He's not going to be.
So maybe that'll get people to watch.
There's the one guy that's in it, and I have no idea who he's playing, and I can't pronounce his name. He was on. He's the one that played Han Solo in the Solo movie.
Harrison Ford. No joke.
Yeah. Which I actually really liked that movie. I was disappointed they didn't do a sequel to it, but I can't pronounce his name. It's like Ehrlich or something. I don't know, but I was like, all right, I recognize him. I've seen him in a couple of things, and he's been good. But on IMDb, if I remember right, it didn't mention who he's playing. So can start to. Oh,
hey, boys, back from the store. And Rouge, we did not wait. We did continue on this show. We've been talking about. Let's see. Richard says, "Well, now that you sweeten the pot with Slug being on this show, there you go. Slug is how they knew to get everyone with Slug."
As a side note, you said when it was in Chicago, because all these shows and films don't film with the real names; they have like some other thing. Like you said, it was Wise Guys or something. That's what I want my job to be. I want to get a job for a studio where my job is to just pick the fake name that other things are going to be filming under.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. When I worked on the show Dark Matter, the show that's on Apple Plus, it was under the name Durango.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna just come to my office. Mr. Kelly, we got one for you. All right, what is it? We're gonna be filming a movie called Avengers Doomsday, and be like, sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Perfect. Okay, that's what we'll film under. Be like, cool. Also, go get me some sausage, gravy, and biscuits.
Yeah. And let's see, Mr. Keith says, but like Sacha Baron Cohen would be perfect as a deceptive liar like Mephisto, considering his prank interviews. Those are some epic interviews Sacha Baron Cohen has done, and I could see him kind of as Mephisto, like the way he does, like I said, a good deceptive liar like Mephisto.
Don't get me wrong. I think he would be fantastic as Mephisto. He'd be an inspired choice. But we've been hearing this for years. Oh, he's going to be Mephisto. He's going to be in WandaVision. He's going to be the one behind. Yeah, why would you believe anything? He's going to be the one behind it. Like, okay, or then it was Agatha all along. He was going to be in that. There was like some other show. I'm like, it's not. it's not him. He's not. It's not going to be Mephisto.
Hey, well, we will see if that goes on. Let's see, Bruce. That's right. Sonny has some action figures he has to keep from escaping to safety. Don't know what you're talking about. You've been reading too many Mephisto comic books because that's a lie. But yeah, but if they put Mephisto in the show, that would be something to get some people to watch. But
it would.
now
I
it's
mean,
just
people are people are going to watch it regardless because it's MCU. It's on Disney Plus. There's going to be people that like it because they actually like it, and there's going to be people that like it because they're virtue signaling. There's going to be people that don't like it that actually don't like it, and there's going to be people that don't like it because of it's a black female character and it's the MCU and that are going to hate it just because it's not the big ones.
Yeah, and not really giving it a chance. Just hate it like before it even starts.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's going to be the people that post that they like it and are going to get there's going to be the people that post about it and they're going to get attacked for liking it or for not liking it. Even if it's for legitimate reasons, like, hey, not everybody likes everything. Like, the trailer didn't really get me excited for it, but I'll watch the first episode. I'll give it a chance. Maybe I'll watch and be like, oh man, yeah, the trailer didn't do it justice. This is really cool.
Yeah, but this happens sometimes.
Who knows? Yeah.
But let's go on to Spider-Man Brand New Day. And now they're talking about a possible female supervillain. They were saying that possibly the character Sarah Snook might be in Brand New Day. And if she's there, maybe she would play the Silver Sable. I think that'd be pretty cool to see Silver Sable live action. I like the character. I think she's a great character. We don't see too much of.
Yeah, I mean, they've been, teasing Silver Sable for, like 10 years now almost? 5 years, 6 years, something like, the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie, and which didn't really make any sense other than the fact that they're two female Spider-Man characters. But, they've been teasing
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't, nothing against Sarah Snook. I don't really see her as Silver Sable, but, if that ends up being it, then yeah, I could be wrong. Been wrong before, but would not be the top of my list for casting for that character. Plus, Silver Sable's not really a villain, so
yeah, that's how surprising with saying villain, and then when I read and it's like Silver Sable, I'm like, no.
Well, and then the other article is saying that it's going to be Marvel. Oh yeah, Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel, no, they don't know what to do with MJ.
And the MCU has no idea. We haven't really gotten MJ in the movies, since Raimi, and in the comics.
How long that was now?
Yeah, and in the comics, just been ruined, and but then they also said the thing for Spider-Man that the villains were going to be what Boomerang. Was it?
There was some type of Mr. Negative.
Yeah, but it was also what's the most recent one where they said it was going to be Boomerang and I'm trying to remember who else.
I remember a while ago hearing about Chameleon, possibly. But
I don't think they would do Chameleon because they just did Chameleon kind of sorta in the Craven movie.
Oh, okay then, yeah.
I just pulled up Scorpion, Boomerang, and Tombstone.
Oh, okay, Tombstone.
But apparently it said at the Disney Blockbuster Consumer Products panel, that's a mouthful. A sizzle reel reportedly revealed that the movie will feature classic villains Scorpion, Boomerang, and Tombstone. So if it's saying that it's them, and then they're also going to do Silver Sable, and they're also going to do Mr. Negative, like
even rumors of Tom Hardy's Venom possibly being in there. So right now there's so many rumors.
Yeah, I mean, if they're revealing those three in the sizzle reel, then I would imagine it will be those three. But who knows? It's all going to be rumors until they actually confirm casting. I mean, hell, even Sadie Sink, they announced for the movie months ago, but who knows? Everybody's debating like, oh, who's she going to play?
MJ, Mayday.
Yeah, is she going to be Mayday? Is she going to be Mary Jane? Is she going to be? I mean, hell, I don't know. Maybe she's Gwen Stacy. I've heard, oh, she'll be Jean Grey. Like, who knows?
Yeah, we will see. The movie still won't come out for at least a whole other year. If it's not delayed. So
yeah, I mean, they haven't even started. I don't think. I mean, they haven't even announced casting for it yet. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. We haven't seen Scorpion in live action. We saw the Mac Gargan in jail in that one like post credit scene, but but we didn't really see him as Scorpion. We have Boomerang. I never would have guessed that, but we haven't seen that one. And Tombstone, we haven't seen that. I mean, they're all villains we haven't seen in live action. So I'd be all for seeing. Spider-Man's got so many villains and so many that we haven't seen yet in the live action movies that I'd be down for seeing some new ones.
Yeah, but it is one thing when it comes to who's rumors who's going to be in there. We do have confirmed characters who will be in the Justice League Red comic book series. So Justice League Red #1 coming out August this year, August 20th is set to be when the first issue comes out, and it'll be made by Saladin Ahmed and Clayton Henry. And the new Justice team will have the lineup will be Red Tornado as the leader, Power Girl, Deadman, John Stewart, Cyborg, Red Arrow, and more. It says Red Arrow or Red Tornado leads using his future projections to counter threats from within and outside the league. So that could be a good fun series. Seeing how it comes out, how it'll be.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll check it out.
I'm interested in it. I just, I hope they don't do to Red Tornado what Marvel did to Beast, and just making him kind of like a shady, get things done at all costs asshole.
No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that either.
And I want to see Red Tornado like back in his body. So, yeah, I really want to see that. And they kind of teased it some when Justice League Unlimited started. They're like, oh yeah, Red Tornado's in the computer and he's running it while we rebuild his body. Like, so I was thinking at some point they were going to have some big mammoth fight and like a bunch of heroes were going to get taken out and their backs were going to be to the wall. Then it was like, oh no, we're going to lose. And then all of a sudden you see like Red Tornado burst on the scene, like brand new kick-ass body and, taking care of business. But, I guess they're going in a different direction. I mean, I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah.
I just hope they do some justice to Red Tornado.
I do too. I think he's a very underrated character, very good character, and one that I sometimes look like. If I'm out in the sun for 2 minutes, I'm as red as Red Tornado. So not so long ago, I showed Maria a picture of Red Tornado. I said, "This is what your husband will look like, if I stay out in the sun for 2 minutes."
And then she probably was like, "So you're going to be bald and you're going to have this arrow pointing down from your head pointing down to your nose," and like, yes, exactly.
Pretty much, yeah. It's coming. It's but then the next couple of years, I'm basically going to be Red Tornado. At least looks wise. I don't think I'll be that tough. Let's hope I don't get caught up in any tornadoes either.
No, everyone's got to have goals in life, Sonny.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you see the future and you just know it. You're like, yeah, it's inevitable. Sometimes it's inevitable, and some things are insane. So I think you know what that means. What it's time for, Dan.
Is it? Oh, I thought you were gonna.
We timed that horribly when
yes, I was like, "Is it?" I thought either you were going to say it or that you'd go to it. So you know what? We'll clean it up.
As soon as you went, I clicked it. Yeah, so
we'll clean it up in post.
Yeah. Okay, so
everybody, live, right?
Oh, we are. Oh well. Well, here we are, everybody. You know how Variant Insanity goes. Take a guess as to which comic book had the most variants this week. Let me look back at the comments because Richard had already guessed. Richard set a record today by being the quickest person to guess which comic had the most variants. He said TMNT, and he said 45 variants. So everybody else, I mean, Richard, you have time to change your pick if you want. So everyone, what do you think had the most variants this week?
What comics did Dynamite release this week? Let's see. I'm gonna say. Let's see, Barbarella, the Terminator, Vampirella, and then a bunch of trade paperbacks. I'm gonna guess it's not Barbarella because who cares? I'm guessing it's Dynamite because it's almost always Dynamite. So that leaves it between Terminator and Vampirella. Killer cyborgs from the future or sexy vampire chick. Maybe a sexy vampire chick and say Vampirella.
You're going Vampirella. Boo says Thundercats. Like I said before, Richard had said TMNT. And
TNT.
I can jump on with the 10, the 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This week, the comic book that had the most variants is Vampirella number 2.
Woo! Now I got to look up how many scratches on a canister. Now I got to look up how many. Well, first I want to see how many covers Vampirella had, and then I'll look up what Terminator had.
Well, no looking up the number. You gotta guess. How many variants do you think Vampirella had this week?
Uh,
And right before Boosh had said Scratch Thundercats and he went with Terminator. But so it is Vampirella. How many variants?
You know, like I said, all I did was I Googled Dynamite comics that came out this week, and then on their website, and then it listed their new releases for the week. It didn't show covers or anything. It just listed the releases. I was like, all right, 3 comics and a bunch of trades. It's not going to be a trade. Like I said.
Yeah, you narrow it down. Yeah. All right.
So, well, we know you know, Sal. You're the one that put it. Oh, so it's 10,765 covers.
Sales guess. All right.
I'm gonna guess significantly lower than that.
And Boosh said Vampirella again. Yes, issue number 1 was it won it last month. So number 1 was when they had the most variants, and then now number 2. All right, and Boosh goes with 24 variants. He says
24. All right. I'm gonna say 34.
All right, so everybody, giving you time. And before, Richard had 45. I know he had it for TMNT, but that's still 45. Boosh said 24. Dan, you went with 34. Sale went with 10,765. Wait, the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boosh, you were 1 issue off. This week, Vampirella had 23 variants.
Oh. Yeah, I think we've talked about that. Did we talk about that last time I was on
here? Yeah. Richard said, yeah, does Dynamite know they can't find a distributor because of these variants? And we have talked about it, but I don't know what's up with Dynamite, why they they won't listen. So 23 variants for Vampirella number 2 this week.
And I've heard that from, it's not just, rambling online. Like I've heard it from, people that know that, that work in the shops, and they're like, yeah, these, because it's these, other publishers that are distributing comics now that Dynamite went tits up, and that like are not used to, I guess, dealing with comics like this, and they just don't want to deal with Dynamite because there's like every different cover they release for each issue is like a different SKU number, a different line item that they have to put in, and these distributors just don't feel like dealing with the hassle. Like it's not worth it to them.
So. Yeah, maybe one day Dynamite will listen. So I don't know what to listen when they get in trouble.
I mean, but you look at, and I think I've said it before, you look at the books that Dynamite's doing all this on. It's Vampirella, it's Thundercats, it's Silverhawks. What do these have in common? They're all licensed properties. They're not original Dynamite books. They're having to pay a licensing fee to be able to get these books, these properties to publish. So they're probably doing it just to, knowing that there's a lot of people out there that will buy multiple copies of the same book to get different covers. I'm sure that's why they're doing it. Like, all right, if we keep doing this, then people, we'll get our sales numbers up.
Yeah, 20 something each week.
I'm looking at this.
They're gonna feel it.
Terminator had 9 covers. Oh, I don't know. The website I'm looking at says Vampirella had 39.
If anybody's wrong, it was Sale the Slab guy who sent me that info.
Oh yeah. Well, this also is Well, yeah. This says it's 39. I click on it, 39. Listen, but like one of them, it's like one cover, and then it's the 1 in 10 Mark Spears variant, and then the 1 in 15 Mark Spears, and the 1 in 20 Mark Spears, and the 1 in 25 Mark Spears, and it's all essentially the same artwork where they just change the colors a little bit.
That could be what's going
on.
Oh,
wait, then there's 2 more of them here, 3 more, 4 more of them. So I don't know. Maybe they're like shop exclusives, and that's why they're not listed.
Yeah, that might be that. Because I think last time it was Vampirella 2. I think I was the number. I guess like, hey, I thought it was 40 something, but yeah. So maybe that's the issue. Is they're not really counted since it's teeny little bits changed, and like I said, if they're comic shop exclusives.
Yeah, and it says there's 11 for Barbarella and 9 for Terminator, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah. So once again, I'll show you that image. Vampirella reigns supreme. 2 of 2 for Vampirella.
I mean, people like titties.
I'm gonna say, and there you go. And now, Dan, you are right. And Mr. Keith says, yeah, maybe Dynamite should hire 23 writers for issues that all have the same cover. So now, right or wrong, and I'm the man with the 5 statements this week.
All right.
You all know how it goes. Just tell us if you agree with the statement, if it's right or wrong. So I will start off with my number 1 statement. Superman will still be number 1 at the box office the weekend Fantastic Four First Steps comes out.
Right.
Okay, I pit it because I also say right. I think it will. I think Superman is going to be not just a home run. I think it's going to be a grand slam. It's going to be a great movie. I'm excited for it. Number 2, Dr. Doom is the greatest Fantastic Four villain.
Oh, yeah. 100% right.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four have a lot of great villains, but I think Dr. Doom is the best.
Oh.
So Richard said false. Booze said so for number 1.
Yeah.
Had, false, wrong, and then Mr. Keith had said right.
Mr. Keith's on our side.
Yeah, we believe in that Superman movie, but who knows? We will see what happens. Okay, so now we've gone to number 2. We both agreed that even Booge agrees with us that Dr. Doom is the greatest Fantastic Four villain. Number 3.
He's one of the greatest Marvel villains, not just Fantastic Four.
I was almost going to put that. He's one of the greatest. I'm like, Fantastic Four, but yeah. So yeah, I agreed. He's one of the greatest Marvel villains. So we are agreement that he is the greatest Fantastic Four villain. Number 3. There will be way less variants next year.
Wrong.
I don't know. Do you think this around the same amount, or do you think more variants?
Well, let's wait till we go back and we circle back and do the discussion for each one.
Yeah, and me, well, it's my statement. I say right. I do think there will be less variants next year. Number 4, and this one goes. Since our F-listers deal with Alpha Flight, I will talk about Alpha Flight. Number 4, Alpha Flight won't be in a live-action X-Men or X-related movie for at least the next 10 years.
Right.
And I say right as well. Now we're on number 5. The Code X station is the best podcast station of all time.
Obviously, right.
And I agree and say right.
Woo! We're number one.
That is right. Best of all time.
We're the GOAT.
That's what I try to do. That's what we try to do here. All right, so let's go back to those. Number one was Superman will still be number one at the box office. The weekend Fantastic Four, First Steps comes out. And that one had a bit, you and I both said right, but that one had people in the audience a bit torn, through the middle. Some said right, some said wrong. Like I said, it's a guess. I'm really excited for the movie, and I think that for Superman, I think it will be that popular that it will still be number one at the box office the weekend Fantastic Four First Steps comes out.
I think so too. It's only as long as they keep the release dates the way they are now, it's not like Fantastic Four is going to be out a month later. It's Superman, and then 2 weeks later is Fantastic Four. So I think unless the movie is just absolutely terrible, I think it'll still be number one. And let's face it, Superman is more of a marquee property than Fantastic Four is.
Yeah.
You can go around, a lot of people might know Fantastic Four, but you show that S logo pretty much anywhere in the world and they know what it is.
Yeah. You see anybody, anywhere, any age.
Who will be the paddle of multiple reboots. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple reboots. Yeah, they both get it, but yeah. Let's see, Bruce says, I think Superman is going to be great, but don't know if it'll survive another week when the Fantastic Four comes out.
I'm very surprised that they're releasing within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah, I'm like they're going head to head. Marvel and DC going head to head.
Yes.
Thank you, Richard. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button, buy Dan Kelly art, and do your push-ups.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, you take that Superman S shield anywhere in the globe, people know what it is. You show the four in the circle. A lot of people know what it is, but there's a difference between a lot of people and, like I said, I think you would be hard pressed, unless you go to one of these like tribes that has no contact with the outside world. Like that S, it's just that S shield is iconic. And there's not that many, things comic. Like I think the only ones I would say comic wise that would be that readily identifiable would be the Superman logo and the Batman logo. Like a lot of people might know the X-Men, the circle with the X, or they might know this or that, but but none of them are up there with the Superman and Batman logos.
Agreed. Number 2 is that Dr. Doom is the greatest Fantastic Four villain.
My dad actually went to was at the Great Wall of China like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
he said he's wearing his Superman shirt on the Great Wall of China. Nice. That's how you do it, man.
My dad is in China right now filming a documentary about the Doolittle Raiders.
That's awesome, man.
That's cool, Richard. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that's where you're. I've seen your profile pic because it's the same one on Instagram. I did not realize you're on the Great Wall of China with that. That's cool.
Yeah, there we go. Like I said, we see the picture all the time. But there we go. Now we know. But number 2, everyone. Let's see. Oh yeah, Sip's definitely a bigger name. But after 2 weeks, a lot are going to have already seen it and want to see Fantastic Four.
You got to remember too that there's going to be the DC guys that go see it the week Fantastic Four comes out because it's got to be better. It's got to be horrible. And there's going to be the opposite ones. The Fantastic Four ones like we got to go see it because it's got to beat Superman. Like, get over it. I hope they're both good. I don't know if they will be, but
yeah, we hope. Yeah, Boucher, Doom is one of the Doom is, if not the greatest. Period. So, like I said, everyone was in agreement that he is the greatest Fantastic Four villain, and that he's one of the greatest Marvel villains. So number 3 was there will be way less variants next year. That was the one we said we'd get back to. I think so, just because everything with money wise, everything going up in price, and variants, like I said, we know, like we were just saying with Dynamite. Yeah, this year they're going berserk with all their variants, and they're 20 something this week, 50 something that week. I think they're gonna have a hard time. I think next year's gonna be very different. I think Variant Insanity will continue, but I don't think we'll be getting the numbers that we got this year.
See, I'll think that I don't know if it'll get bigger, but I think it'll at least stay the same. Because we've just seen the rise of it over the years. And plus, one thing too is I saw somebody pose the question that with that whole Battle Beast blind bag thing, they said like, oh, it had pre-orders. They had retailers order 400,000 copies of that. Like, that's a big number for one book. And someone was saying, is this blind bag thing going to be the future? I hope it's not, because when I plop down my $4, $5, $6, whatever the price of a comic is, I want to know what I'm getting. I don't want to wait and open the bag up and then see, and it's just the ultimate FOMO chase too. But and I think that's something that might play into the variant thing too, is the blind bag thing doesn't work unless you have a ton of different variants to put in them.
Yeah. And Mr. Keith says, yeah, right, but let's see Dynamite make all the covers NFTs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And number 4 was Alpha Flight won't be in a live-action X-Men or X-related movie for at least the next 10 years. Dan, we were both in agreement for that one. We said that we agree. We said right.
I think there might be some characters that pop up. I just don't think Alpha Flight as a whole. Like, but I could see Wolverine being in a movie and then having like Puck in it, or like James and Jennifer Hudson in it. Something like that. I just don't think it'll be Alpha Flight as a whole. Yeah. Or even if it is, it would only be something where they're like, in the background of a Wolverine flashback or something.
Jennifer Hudson, what a singer. The Chicago girl. Oh, yeah. Mr. Keith says, yeah, right, but we might like Canada a bit more in the near future. And everyone was saying, right, Bruce had said wrong. So I wonder if Bruce believes that we will see Alpha Flight in a movie in the next 10 years. I think it'd be pretty cool to see them. I just think there's so much going on. Like, there still hasn't even been an X-Men movie. Like, oh, this is the MCU. This is starting the new X-Men team. So I think it'd be a while before they start focusing and be like, oh, let's put in Alpha Flight.
Yeah, because there's so much they have to do with X-Men to actually, even now in Doomsday, like, they're just pulling all the X-Men actors from the Fox stuff. We're not getting, whoever the MCU X-Men are going to be yet.
Yeah, Bruce just said that, they do pull crazy characters. You might see a guest spot. Yeah, we might.
Well, that's what I said. I could see, 1 or 2 characters showing up. I just don't think you'll see Alpha Flight as a whole. Because they still have to, there's a lot of X-Men proper that they have to introduce, plus all the different villains, that whole thing to build up. And yeah, I think it's super cool that they're having the Fox, X-Men actors in this movie, but they're not going to be the X-Men going forward in the MCU. They're going to have an entire new cast of them. So we haven't even gotten that yet.
Yeah. And then number 5 was that the Codex station is the best podcast station of all time. And we all agreed to that. No argument.
God damn right it is. Especially too, because there aren't really that many podcast stations in the sense of a station like what we do with a bunch of different shows. There's like podcasts that have a podcast, not like, oh, we have this show on Wednesday and this show Thursday and this show Friday and this show Monday, and then occasionally these other things too.
Yeah, like I said, the videos, the shorts, everything. Yeah, that's what we try to do. We aim to be the best. And now that brings us to our random panel of the week.
We're the best around. No one's going to bring us down.
That's nicely worded. Some people might like the Mona Lisa. Well, in this random panel of the week, Batman doesn't seem to like it, as he's growing a mustache on the Mona Lisa. And he says, Mona Lisa, she'd look better with a mustache, don't you think? And the random guy says, hey, he's gone mad. Stop him. And I see Mr. Keith's comment says, right, but I just got free comics from y'all in a giveaway, so I've been bought and paid for. And that goes to the Kodak station being the best station.
Just like the American government.
That's how you do it sometimes. But yeah, so there's that giveaway. And like I said, everyone, don't forget that we are having another giveaway.
Yes.
But let's get back to that random panel of the week. Batman drawing on the Mona Lisa. Yeah, and that guy says, yeah, Batman's gone mad. Stop him. You tell us this is one of the older comic books.
Making the Mona Lisa the Mona Lawrence.
Yeah. Mona became a man.
Look at the look on Batman's face
so serious, yeah. He's something must have happened. This is an older comic. Maybe the Joker gave him something, and because he looks very catatonic. He doesn't look like he's like I said, no emotion. Somebody took it. He was taken over. He's under someone's influence, and it gives us this great panel. And Dan, I specifically picked this one out because I'm like, Dan, you draw all the time. So let me pick out something with a bit of artwork. Yeah. If you had anybody draw on any of your pictures, you'd say, hey, I made you a nice cover, and someone said, let me draw a mustache on that character.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because when was the Mona Lisa painted? It was painted in the early 1500s, right? It didn't become this like worldwide, most well-known painting, the greatest painting ever until like, the early 1900s, like 1910, 1911, 1912, sometime around then. Like it was, it was a painting that people knew about, but it wasn't until it got stolen in the early 1900s and then, found that it became the greatest painting ever.
Maybe that'll be with our podcast, with the station. The world will recognize as the best station, a couple hundred years from now. He says, to be fair, this is how disguises tend to work in DC Comics. Yeah, that is right. Draw a mustache.
Hi, I'm Clark Kent. No, I'm Superman.
Where are you? Put Dan Kelly back on.
I actually started writing a screenplay. My buddy had the idea for it, and it was like a one-sentence idea, and he never did anything else with it. And I'm like, do you mind if I do something with it? He's like, yeah. So I started writing it. I don't have a title for it yet. It's a superhero comedy. And his idea was, what if you have The Rock, and he's the biggest, baddest, best superhero in the world, and then he gets taken out, and his brother has to take his place, and his brother's played by Craig Robinson.
Well, there you go, Dan. Good luck with it. Yeah.
And like I said, I don't have a title for it yet. I've got the first, maybe like 20 pages or so written, but I have a gag in it where The Rock is getting ready to. Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's where where Joker got the idea for this. He was reading a Batman comic and was like, that looks like fun.
Yeah.
But like one of the first scenes is, The Rock is getting ready to leave the house. And he's got this like nerdy suit on and stuff, and he's got a wig on, and that's his disguise when he's not, being, super guy.
Give him that man purse that in one picture. Who says, yeah, right, free mustache rides on our shirt.
I mean, Richard's got a point,
Richard said, I've never seen Batman and Dan Kelly in the same room at once.
Just
Makes
saying.
you wonder.
But then he's talking to his brother Craig Robinson, who's like, eating cereal on the couch watching porn, and he's like, "Why you got to go to work? You Superman or whatever super guy name I put in the script for him. I can't remember." And he's like, "Oh no," because I think I have him as like an insurance salesman. And then he gets like a call for his superhero team. He's like, "Oh, we got to go fight this bad guy," and he has to call the office and. Yeah, Sheila, can you push my meeting back? All right, thanks. And then as he like rips his shirt open to have his super suit underneath, and then like Craig Robinson's giving him grief about that. Like, isn't it uncomfortable wearing that all the time? And then as he's like going out the door, you see him like taking his wig off and throwing it to the side. And that was just my little kind of gag, like the Superman with the glasses thing.
Nice. Well, Dan, keep on working at it, and well, hopefully nobody's taking it from the comments. One day somebody may look, and if they take that idea, we got to record it on this episode.
Yes.
Episode 154 of the Codex podcast. Right before we get to the F list. Okay, we've got a full one today for the F list. Today, joining the F list is Omega Flight. You never see them. Where they all are.
I had this issue.
You're the one
All right.
who
I
told me
recognize
about it.
I don't. I saw the panel that I sent you. I didn't realize you were already going to use this. I saw the panel. Like, yeah, that one. And I was
There
like,
you go.
God. And then it made me when I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that issue of Alpha Flight. I had that. And like, look how lame these characters are. Look
And
at
there they
Brain
are.
Drain. Look at
The
that.
brain drain, with
Miss
these
Ass.
muscles, this brain up there. We got Technor, we got Bile, we have Miss Mass, Sanu, and Strong Arm. Man, he's so strong. But let's get a little bit close-ups of these characters. There's Bile. He just looks like a sick guy. He's very ill. He doesn't look very tough. He looks like he's sick. Get him to a hospital. And let's see. Mr. Key says Omega Flight. End all that you can be. There's Miss Mass again. She says, if this is your only trick, kid, your spinely carcass is all mine. And then there's Sinu.
Ah!
That's a great picture. Just right at Look at that.
It's like he got. Looked like he licked his finger and stuck it in a light socket.
Yeah. And there's look at that man with strong arm, a model or something with that pose. And then his eyes look. Yeah, somebody must have on that drawing. I think his eyes. One's looking over here. One's looking over there.
I don't know. Maybe he's cross-eyed. Maybe that's what made him, resort to a life of villainy.
Yeah, and there's Technor. I don't think Technor's so bad looking. I mean, there's a little bit on the art by her eye, but yeah. And then, of course, there's the most known member of the team, and that is Brain Drain. There he is when he was in the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And here's Brain Drain in the past, back when he was a Nazi.
I was going to say, was he a Nazi there?
He was. And here he is when he was trying to change his ways. We see him more updated. And he says, hello, my name is Brain Drain. The brain part is on account of how you can see my cool brain. And Miss Marvel,
looks like something from the Mars Attacks movie.
He does. And Miss Marvel says, in the drain part for the rhyme. And he says, yes, it represents my belief that even in a chaotic world such as ours, there is room for some slight frivolity. I am fun at parties. And here he is in another disguise. There he is. We got fake hair on. He has a shirt that says the Human League. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing with those fingers. Probably not his, but so there we go, everybody. We have Omega Flight in the F list.
So Brain Drain apparently is a fan of 80s pop.
Yeah. And Richard, the Technor is more like a Rob Liefeld creation. All right, Dan. So you own issue number 110 of Alpha Flight, which that is where the team made their first appearance. It was in Alpha Flight number 10. However, the one character that made his first appearance at another time was Brain Drain, and that was in Invaders number 2 back in July of 1975.
Let me correct you. I had that issue when I was a kid. It is long since gone, and I don't even remember anything about it. I just, like I said, I saw that panel. I think it was on, I want to say it was on, shit, I don't know what it was on. I don't remember what I saw the panel. I saw it somewhere, and I was like, "Oh, I saved this." I was like, "I gotta send this to Sonny. Like, look at these lame ass villains. I gotta send this to him. This would be perfect for the F list."
You did, and I'm like, you know what? I'm putting them on this week. I'm not waiting because Brain Drain was a character I did.
Yeah, that's what you
hear
said.
From for a while ago. Like, okay, he's written like on the list. Okay, one day I'll get to him. I knew he had been in more stuff, but then this week I'm like, okay, he is joining.
Yeah, you said you had him in the pipeline, right? Like, I want to say I saw, that one panel. Like, I want to say I saw that someone had posted it on Pinterest. I'm not sure, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, God, look at these lameoids.
Yeah, so Dan, remember anything about the history of them.
Well, they saw Alpha Flight, which is the top, team of superheroes in Canada, the government sponsored team, and they said, well, since Alpha is number one, you know, we're going to be Omega dead last. And as you can see from the recruiting drive that they obviously had, yes, they were dead last. They watched the live action Masters of the Universe movie, and when Skeletor gave that speech near the end when he had all the Grayskull power, and he's like, "I'm the Alpha and the Omega," that really spoke to them. They were like, "There's already the Alpha. We're gonna be the Omega," and they had their talent. Like you said, Brain Drain was around. Was a Nazi in the Invaders, so he'd been around for a while. So he decides that he's going to put this team together. So he gets, Miss Mass, that he finds her robbing a bakery. Is like, you want to come be a villain, and once we take over the government, you'll get all the maple syrup and all of the maple candy that you want. And she said, "I'm in."
The exact voice too.
Yeah, and then he went and he found Strong Arm, who answered the ad. When he said what his power was, he said, "I'm Strong Arm, and I have a strong arm." He's like, "Oh, so you're super strength?" And he's like, "Yeah, strong arm." It turned out he only has one strong arm. The other one is just is just a normal arm.
Yeah, when you look at his picture, you do see that his right arm is very strong. His left arm not so much. So I wonder how he got that one arm so strong.
Well, I mean, there's
we already know. Yeah,
there's something that young men discover that if they do it too much, that it could possibly lead to that. And that happened with him, and he happened to be doing that right when his X gene activated, and that's why he got the strong arm power.
Yeah.
And then what is it, Richard? There's not a single character on this team that is cool.
This.
Salvage or reuse one of them.
What about this character? What about Sanu?
See, now Sanu is remember in Mr. Terror. That's not Mr. Terror though. Yeah. Now the cover does kind of look like the Terror, the Terror character that Marvel also had, but that's not
Terror Inc. Yeah, because the character looks like him. This is what he normally looks. That's what that guy normally looks like. Bile.
But remember, the Great Lakes Avengers are created with the intention of being somewhat lame, and that's what makes them great. Is that they're just a funny joke kind of team. These guys were not created to be a joke. Like, these were created in the 90s. Like, yeah, this is going to be the new hotness, and why does Strong Arm look like a fat Albert?
It really does, yeah.
Body parts. Yeah, again, but this is not Terror Inc. That guy is what's his name? Bile.
And here he is. That's another image of him. Yeah.
Yeah, his power, where whenever he has to poop, instead of it coming out of his butt, he just has constant diarrhea that just leaks out of all of his pores.
And that's why he looks so drained like that.
Yeah, so he was happy to join the team just because he was happy that anybody would let him be around them. But then they would always, make him ride in the other car when they were on their way to commit crimes.
Yeah, he had to fight Miss Mass for the bathroom a lot.
Yes, and Sinu, you remember the movie Twins, where there was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito sees Arnold for the first time. He goes, "Who are you?" And Arnold goes, "I'm your brother Julius." And it turned out that all the good stuff was used to make Arnold, and all the leftover crap was used to make Danny DeVito. That's where Sinu comes from. All the good stuff was used to make Wolverine. All the medium stuff was used to make Wild Child, and all the leftover crap was scraped into a petri dish and eventually grew into this abomination.
Why is he shaped like an M? Like the way his legs are so. Yeah, that's not a flattering picture. That's why I had to pick it for everybody to see.
I mean, he's really desperate that everybody knows he's a mutant.
Yeah, We all see that, yeah.
Did I cover everyone?
Let's get to Tech Noir.
Oh, Tech Noir. Yeah, she was just some chick that put on a bunch of stuff that she bought at Radio Shack. It was like, I'm going to commit crime, and then joined the team because they had to have their prerequisite hot girl on the team.
And there she is. And then, of course, there's the Brain Drain, who, like you said, likes his 80s music before. And, well, there's a picture from before.
Yeah, this is the Kmart version of Arnim Zola.
Yeah. All right, then, yeah, but there is quite a bit. So, like I said, that Brain Drain, let's see, wait, Brucey, that dude's jacket might be a bit shorter other than that straight character design.
And I kind of think I remember seeing that like when I was a kid and seeing that cover, and it was like, oh yeah, that's Terror Inc. And then like, oh no, it's not.
Yes, yeah, Bio definitely copied Terror Inc.
Yeah, and the image you see of them on that cover is the coolest that they ever did and ever will look. And who is it that drew that? Let me see.
I agree.
I can't read. But yeah, so whoever that artist on the cover did, I mean, they don't even really look that cool on the cover either. It looks like just stereotypical 90s garbage. I guess whoever that cover artist is did the best with what he had.
Yeah, now let me go through some of their names, their actual real names. Just in case it's coming when, what was that? They're coming when they're recruiting for Beta Flight. Okay, well.
Why would you name yourself Omega Flight? Omega means last. And then they did another Omega Flight team when they did the initiative that actually, was a mini-series. It was actually a pretty good mini-series. I have it over there somewhere. And again, it was called Omega Flight. Like, do y'all know what Omega means?
Apparently not. So first there's Bile, whose actual name is Tom Preston. There is Miss Mass, whose real name is Gillian Pritikin. There's Sanu, whose name is William Knox. Strong Arm's actual name is Steve Caden. And Technor's real name is Gail Cameron. And of course, there's the most known character of them all. Mighty Mouse Comics says Puck needs to be on every team.
Puck is a great character.
I think Puck is too good for this team. So here's Brain Drain, whose actual name is Werner Schmidt. Now, most of these characters, like I said, they were just recruited by the man who goes by the name of Master of the Universe, or excuse me, Master of the World, sometimes known as Master of the Word World.
Oh, yeah, Master of the World, and another real winner of a character.
Yeah, so this is the team that he created. And now they all made their first appearance in Alpha Flight number 110 in this issue, except for Brain Drain. And now Brain Drain was made in the past. He was made for Invaders number 2 in July of 1975. And he was a Nazi scientist during World War II, and he helped create Masterman. Eventually, over time, he was defeated by the great Captain America. He was defeated by many characters. Eventually, after being defeated, his head was put in something like it was contained, like his head, his brain. I don't know how they kept him alive. Not much is stated, but eventually he thought about changing. Eventually, he was brought in by the Master of the Weird World, given that robotic body. So he fought amongst the Omega Flight, and obviously they were defeated. They were not able to take on Alpha Flight. As you can see, they're not too tough, all of them. But eventually, Brain Drain started to change his ways. He started to think that, his old ways were bad. And then he sought out Squirrel Girl. And Squirrel Girl started to help him change. But eventually it didn't work out. And he attacked a whole lot of innocent people. But it was Squirrel Girl that realized, hey, there was a fight that happened. Maybe we could do better. Maybe we can try again. So Brain Drain is technically still trying to be good. And Squirrel Girl is helping him. And also with the help of Nancy Whitehead. Nancy Whitehead even is in the comic we'll be reviewing today. So Nancy Whitehead and Squirrel Girl are still helping Brain Drain try to change his ways and try to be an actual superhero, as you see in there with Miss Marvel. Somehow Brain Drain has lasted 50 years. And he's still
not Not every idea is a good idea.
Yeah. And sometimes you get these crazy ideas that are so bad that somehow they just can't stay dead. So yeah, all of these characters, this whole team, Omega Flight, they're all still alive. Like I said, many of them defeated, pinning jail. And after the last appearance of many of them was Alpha Flight number 130, except for, like I said, Brain Drain continues to go on. Now, I say these characters are F-listers, and yeah, Mr. Keith says their initials are OF. And I don't think they have many fans, but you know what?
Yeah, I
Who
don't think
knows?
they would be getting a lot of subs.
Not Miss
Maybe Tech
Mass,
Noir.
maybe Tech Noir. You know what? Tech Noir might be getting some fans. And is as flexible as Sonora looks, no, I don't think he'd be getting many fans.
Remember the when we were, I know I'm a few years older than you, but even still, when we were younger,
More than a few.
and it was the pre-internet days, and somehow all the school kids still managed to just spread this rumor somehow around the country about Marilyn Manson
removing the rib.
the ribs. That's
I even heard that.
That's what Sinu did to be able to get that pose. He heard that rumor and he said that sounds like a good idea, and he can do it. But
he can. We have with that flexibility he has right there.
Then you also have to remember too. He's like, I could do it, but now, like, is this what it's come to with me?
And maybe Bio saw it, and that's why he has that sad look on his face. And speaking of the internet, maybe Strong Arm was one of the first men to find out about the internet and certain things you could find on the internet and how he is, Strong Arm. Yeah.
That's unfortunately true.
Bush says, yeah, some writers made their whole career on bad ideas. So Dan, Alpha Flight, not Alpha Flight, Omega Flight, do we see any of them as getting off the F list?
Hell no. They are cemented in the F list. I mean, their Omega Flight, they're already last. They name themselves, last. So, yeah.
I say Tech Noir, maybe. And Mr. Keith says, yeah, it was the 90s. We were all removing our ribs. And
hell, the 90s was all about the McRib.
As much as Brain Drain is trying, I say he's still on the F list. He's still got a long. They said he's come a long way from 50 years ago, but he's still a member of the F list. I say all members of Omega Flight. That goes for Bile, Miss Mass, Sinu, Strong Arm, Tech Noir, and Brain Drain. All go and stay on the F list.
Yes.
And now it is time
to
review
for them.
Time to review One World Under Doom. Earlier we said we were all in agreement that Dr. Doom is the best Fantastic Four villain, and we were saying maybe he's one of the greatest villains. But in this story, Dr. Doom has taken over the world. Let me start you off with some of the credits, and that goes with this is now we're not going over the whole story of One World Under Doom. We're not going with any of the spin-offs or anything. It's literally just One World Under Doom, issue number 1, chapter 1, The Exercise of Power. The writer is Ryan North. The artist is R.B. Silva. The color artist is David Carriel. And the letterer is VC's Travis Lanham. And the cover artist for most covers the main cover was Ben Harvey. But this one that I've been showing you that I have, this variant, I believe Sal said it was variant G. That one is Clayton Crane. There have been many variants to this one, so there's been quite a lot. So, in this story, it's taking place. Dr. Doom has become the Sorcerer Supreme, and now he's been quiet for a while, but now he comes out, and he is, the whole story begins with him addressing the whole world of why Doom is the right man. He's the man to lead the world, and he has all the leaders that have agreed to follow his lead. And one of the things that he says is, Doom will save you. And what is that? Doom? I'm looking for that. Doom is. I'm trying to find the exact thing he was saying multiple times. Almost remind me a little bit like the 1984 book. Doom is Doom is wisdom. Doom is power. Doom is prosperity. Some of the things Doom says seems like, hey, maybe somehow is Dr. Doom not so bad when he talks about free healthcare, when he talks about getting education for everyone. However, the superheroes, the Avengers, are like, wait a minute, and the Avengers, and of course, Fantastic Four. Something is right. Something is not right. Doctor Doom must be, you know, he must be just taking over people. He must have killed people. Something is going on. And no, we should not be falling under his. It shouldn't be one world under Doom. And then Baron Zemo and Hydra had to go after Doom, and suddenly Baron Zemo and Hydra, they were working for Doom. And actually, Doom has them building schools and things like that. So the Avengers go to take on Doom and see what's going on. I don't want to give too much away. This is a more recent story. It is an ongoing story that's still going on to this day. There's quite a few spin-offs, things like that. The story is continuing on.
I like that he phrase still going on to this day. Like it makes it sound like something that's been going on for like 10, 15 years.
It hasn't been for those who are kind of unfamiliar. Yes, this has not been going on for years. This something going on for a few months now. But yes, this is an ongoing one. I think it's an interesting story. Like I said, this is the start to the story. So, like I said, that's why Doom has to give in the beginning his talk. I like how new comic books now start you off right at the beginning of books. They just kind of tell you who the main characters are in case, let's say somebody's new. It says, who is that? I don't know. When they just do things like this and they tell you who each character is, I like them. I think this is a good beginning to the story. Last week on the Codex podcast, we reviewed Emperor Doom. And then it was Mike who had said, hey, this kind of reminds me of the ongoing One World Under Doom. So I really got me interested to say, hey, let me check it out since I had gotten issue number 1. And
The Marvel graphic novel.
Emperor Doom. So I did see a lot of similarities, and I was comparing it, and I know, like, okay, that story, the whole thing takes place within that Marvel graphic novel, whereas this, like I said, is ongoing. This is just the beginning to this huge event that's going on in Marvel right now. I think it's good. I'm excited for some of the things they've got going on. Artwork, at times I liked it. At times, I'm sure you noticed it, Dan. There was a lot of moments when suddenly it was just showing like the shadows of the characters, and I felt like they did that a lot. Like, well, why? I get sometimes every now and then an image, but it felt like every now and then they're going, okay, now it's the shadow image. Now it's the shadow image. I think it's good. I don't think it's terrific. I don't think like, oh man, this story, I'm so hooked on it. It has, like I said, it's what's going on now. It's bringing on a lot. It's involved in a lot of stories. Even too after it, I was like, oh, my mom happened to pick me up some comics for my birthday, so I have this issue of Red Hulk #2, which goes along with it. So I said, oh, let me read this one too, and I actually really liked that one. I thought it was very good. So there's, like I said, this is opening up a lot of stories to connect to it. I think it's interesting. I think good. My rating may change in the future depending on how I feel when I read the story as a whole. When it's completed and I read it all, I may say, oh well, overall it's this, or now I see why it was that. But my first initial reaction to One World Under Doom, I said I enjoy it. I don't think it's perfect, but I say good, and I give One World Under Doom a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Dan, what do you think?
Now I was familiar that Doom, had tricked Doctor Strange into making him the Sorcerer Supreme at the end of Blood Hunt. So when Strange is telling me like, oh, he stole it from me, I'm like, oh, he didn't really steal it. Like he tricked you, but you fell for it. So it didn't really steal. So, and I guess he's been the Sorcerer Supreme for a few months at the start of this, and and is trying to, from what he says, is trying to bring prosperity to the world. And it's what makes Doom such a compelling character, I think, because where he's seen as a villain all over the world, in his home country of Latveria, he's a hero. Like it's, the people that live there, and he said it before in Fantastic Four issues, he's like, as long as they pledge allegiance to me, like that's it. And and then the characters talk to, Fantastic Four have talked to people that live there, like, we're going to save you. And they're like, what are we talking about? Like, we love it here. They're like, yeah, he's the leader, whatever. Like, we don't go hungry. We don't, we have, the sick are cared for. And that's what Doom is saying in this is, we're going to build hospitals. We're going to build schools. Everybody's going to have access to food, to free higher education, and everything he's saying, you're like, yeah. Okay, we should, all have access to higher education. We all should have hospitals and and enough to eat for everyone, and and then as you see what happens with Zemo and that, and even that was a way that he kind of tricked the Avengers into kind of playing into his hands even more with what he did with Zemo in it. And one thing that I was thinking about after reading this is, with the superheroes, and it's not just the Marvel ones, Marvel, DC, just the kind of concept in general is, they save the world and they stop disasters and stop the supervillains from robbing banks and so on and so forth. It's like, but they don't really alter the status quo. They don't.
The world stays the same.
Yeah, like what are they doing to actually help? Make sure that homeless people have a place to live. That people that need education get it. That people that need food get it. They're not doing anything to affect change in that way. And anytime somebody comes along, that does these things, they're like, oh, they're a bad guy. And of course, it's always revealed that they always are a bad guy. But, at least me, this kind of made me start thinking like, yeah, so, the whole world is seeing Doom as this guy that's going to bring prosperity to them. And they, and are probably seeing the heroes as like, oh, it's just sour grapes from them because they're not in charge anymore. And of course it's Doom. So at some point he'll be revealed to be, doing Dr. Doomish things. But, I thought that was, kind of interesting how he's playing that up with him. I thought the artwork was pretty good. Especially the scene where he comes in with like the big Tyrannosaurus Rex.
The Doomosaurus Rex. That was a good, I like
it. Yeah. And like one of the guys, I forget whoever it is, says something like he's got a dinosaur now, and and Johnny Storm's like, yeah, that happened. We kind of alluded like, yeah, it didn't think it survived, but I guess it did from some older Fantastic Four issue. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. Squirrel Girl is in it for some reason. I don't know why. You got all these heavy hitters like
Thor, you love her.
Like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man and Captain Marvel and and Black Widow and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and Squirrel Girl. Like the Squirrel Girl to me is just one of the stupidest characters. And
hey, she helped out Brain Drain before.
No, big whoop. She's helping out a headless Nazi. But, not really a big A+ check mark in her corner there.
And hey, Doom. Speaking of them, Doom took care of Hydra.
Yeah, but, and then it's canon that Squirrel Girl beat Dr. Doom before. Like it's just so stupid, And she has a couple lines of dialogue in this. I'm like, why is she there? Among all these, this pantheon of great characters, and then Squirrel Girl. So that really honestly kind of brought the rating down for me a little bit because of the lameness of Squirrel Girl being there. So overall, I'll give it an 8 out of a 10. Would have been a 9 out of a 10 if Squirrel Girl was not in it. But the inclusion of Squirrel Girl in any book automatically drops it down at least 1 point.
All right, well, there we go. One World Under Doom, issue number 1. Dan gives it an 8 out of 10, and I give it a 7.5 out of 10. So we both say good.
And I'm inclined to read the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think it gets you involved. It does make me want to read the rest of it. So, like I said, I give it an open 7.5. We'll see if later on I say, man, it fit in perfectly, or if I say, yeah, sticks with that. So everyone, feel free to let us know what you think of One World Under Doom. Are you enjoying it? Are you currently reading it? Are you going to be more like I usually do and wait for the trade paperbacks to come out? Let us know. And one thing I must say when it came to reading this, I noticed one of the pages at the end mentioned that Marvel remembers Greg Hildebrandt, who passed away in 2024. And now, somehow we didn't get to mention it on the Codex podcast before. It wasn't mentioned in a lot of news. And they show Greg Hildebrandt's some of his artwork. He had done some of those amazing Marvel Masterworks cards.
Yeah, he did those, and him and his brother. Oh, what book was it? There was, I can't even remember what it is now, but I know there was at least one where they did the artwork for the whole interior of the book. But yeah, like Joe Jusko was, I think, you know, as far as I can remember, like there have been people that had done paintings and stuff on comic covers and stuff like that before, but in my mind, Joe Jusko was the first one to like really do it big time when he did that, that Marvel Masterworks card set, the first one. But then after him, then we got the Hildebrands, we got Alex Ross. But yeah, they were certainly very influential. Fantastic work.
Yeah, those cards, even too, especially the Galactus one he did, is I think truly beautiful artwork. I made sure, even it wasn't too long ago, maybe within the past year, I went on eBay and I found it and I did buy it. And it is because I'm like, the second I laid eyes on that card, I said I want to get that. I want to add that to my collection. So, Greg, may you rest in peace. So I did want to put that out there. I like that Marvel put that in the book. I like that Marvel does that in the comic books now when they put that, a page to remember some of the people who helped bring these characters to life. All right, there, Dan. It's been a fun show. It's been a good one, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Next week is set to be me, Uncle Gary, and Mighty Mike. And I've got a surprise for them. Next week. Yeah. Something that has been seen on the show before. Got a surprise. Yeah. So, everyone, take care. Remember, tomorrow, watch the Codex Stations Comic Character of the Week, Billy the Butcher. And, of course, every Saturday, Comics Unleashed. And before I let you go, I'll tell you again how you can win some comic books that the Codex Station is having a giveaway. You can win 8 issues from the Age of Apocalypse, plus the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Get in there by May 30th, because on May 31st, the winner will be announced. Dan, would you like to tell everybody how they can enter into the contest?
Oh shit, dude, I don't remember. It's something where you
giveaway.
Go on the giveaway or go on our Instagram page, and it's easy. It's at the Codex Station. Go on our Instagram page, and there is a post, and you'll see it. It's that exact picture, and it's pinned to the top of the page, and it will give you all the details on how you can enter. You have to tag someone in it, and for every person that you tag, you get 1 entry. So the more people you tag, tag 1, you get 1 entry. 5 entries. 1,000 entries. But we're doing all these giveaways because we're trying to get our subscriber count up to 2,000 by the end of the year. So we're just below 1,600. So we're trying to make that final push.
Yeah. And earlier I messed up when I said it was hashtag giveaway, because that's not part of it anymore. I was not in the loop about that, but here we go. I did. So like I said, it is on our Instagram page. So it does say, here's how you enter. Follow us and share this post to your story. Facebook equals share this post. And like you said, 1 tag equals 1 entry. So no limit. Like Dan said, if you enter 1,000, you do 1,000 tags. Hey, you get 1,000 entries.
And if the people that you tag, if they start tagging people too, then they get entered as well. You have to be following. You have to be subscribed to the station, and then do the tags.
Yeah, so they say if you're already subscribed to our YouTube, let us know. And if you're a new subscriber, DM us a screenshot, and we'll hook you up with 5 bonus entries. So good luck to everybody. Get yourself some comic books. And the Age of Apocalypse is one of my favorite stories. And the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, that's a good story. That's a good 4-issue series. So
maybe we should review some Age of Apocalypse on here sometime, because that is also one of my all-time favorites.
We may have, that one we're gonna have set a bit more time, because that is a true classic. Maybe a little bit before we get to the big, maybe before they have the sequel. There's so much we can do, so much we could review. And with that, you know what? I got some comic book reading to do tonight. So everyone, take care. Have a great day. Have a great week. Remember, tomorrow, Comic Character of the Week, Billy the Butcher, Comics Unleashed over the weekend. Dan's got himself an interview that will be released pretty soon with
Todd Nauck, comic superstar artist Todd Nauck. Did a great interview with him. Super nice guy. Very excited to be able to talk to him. He's one of my favorite artists. So very excited to get that interview up for everyone else to see.
So check it out. Always new stuff from the Codex Station. Take care, everyone. Hope you have a week that is a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching.
Oh,
Have a good night.
fancy.